I am widely regarded as the quintessential bimbo beauty of the entertainment industry, merely a filler for a lavish cruise live streaming program. To my astonishment, I encountered an assault midway. Wielding a brow-shaping knife, I single-handedly vanquished a squad of heavily armed mercenaries. Facing the camera, I innocently remarked, "We are all Chinese, after all. Isn't it quite normal to possess some martial skills?"
1.
On the day of my retirement, my superior amiably inquired, "Comrade Eli Union, you have risked your life for the organization over the years. It has been arduous. What desires do you have for your post-retirement life? Do not hesitate to express them." Instantly invigorated, I eagerly replied, "My retirement life. It shall be characterized by a hedonistic extravagance, indulgence in lavish pleasures, a life of intoxication, revelry, and nightly festivities." My superior, possessing exceptional composure, smiled and replied, "Understood. So, you wish to head towards a life that leads to tears behind iron bars." 3 days later, I found myself packed and unceremoniously cast into the entertainment industry. 3 years later, I had become the universally acknowledged bimbo beauty across the internet. Yet, just as everyone relished in my perceived incompetence, attributing my rise to stardom to sheer luck, little did they know. Who would have imagined that I was once the sharpest blade within the organization, having set a record of eliminating 12 enemies in merely 3 seconds, a feat yet to be surpassed. If Sharpblade is the most enigmatic organization in the world, then I am the most perilous entity within it. At that time, whenever the enemy spoke of me, they would jest, "She is more incendiary than danger itself." 2. Shinshur, do not go. I jolted awake once more from a nightmarish reverie, sitting up abruptly, gasping for breath. A voice, laced with malice, reached my ears. "Oh dear, some people truly believe that being good-looking grants them the liberty to act as they please? Do you think that the esteemed General Shin would ever be within your grasp, you mere pretty fool? How shameless of you to call out his name in your dreams." The speaker was Deng Li, a recognized darling of the entertainment industry, whose popularity far surpassed mine. Both of us were artists under the Ingjie Group, yet we were notorious for our animosity. The shock from the nightmare left me momentarily dazed. After a brief pause, as I surveyed the familiar makeup room, the harsh reality struck me. Shinshur was dead. The man who had fought alongside me was nothing but dust and bones now. Only then did I recall what Deng Li had just said. I furrowed my brows and inquired, "What did you just say about General Shin?" Deng Li rolled her eyes. "Of course, I was referring to the enigmatic General Shinshur of the Shin Corporation. You might as well give up on that hope. I've already received an invitation to the luxurious cruise live streaming event in a few days. Word has it that General Shun will also be present. I shall make him fall in love at first sight. As for you, with your lackluster charm, you stand no chance of boarding." My lips twitched as I regarded Deng Li, brimming with confidence, and sincerely advised, "Do remember to get a beauty treatment before boarding. Look at your face. The skin is sagging. Be wary of the flies that might be drawn to the wrinkles. Moreover, beauty does indeed allow for certain liberties. After all, you cannot comprehend this since you lack it." 3. Exiting the makeup room, I urgently dialed my agent's number. "Aya, you must find a way to include me in that luxurious cruise live streaming event in a couple of days." Silence enveloped the line for a full minute as I incessantly exclaimed, "Hello? Hello?" Just as my patience began to wane, Aya finally spoke. "They initially invited you to fill numbers. You adamantly declined, claiming you would not bow for mere grains." Suddenly, it all came flooding back to me. Indeed, I had thought that the cruise livestream would be excessively publicized, a fool's errand. Coupled with the fact that the program's liaison had implied I was unworthy of the event, I had turned down the offer. Clearing my throat, I meekly uttered, "I understand you're upset, but please, do not be angry just yet." "What was the compensation they offered?" Aya replied, "Initially, it was 5 million, but they later upped it to 6 million. I decisively stated, while 5 grains are hardly worth it, I would gladly sell my soul for 6. Accept their offer." 4. Aya, true to her reputation as a top-notch agent, miraculously secured my spot within the program at the last moment. As a live reality show that had invested substantial manpower, resources, and finances, it naturally sparked widespread discussion online. On the day of boarding, excitement peaked. So thrilled. Finally, the broadcast begins. A luxurious cruise live stream is quite novel. Look, Goddess Deng Li is about to board. Have you heard? Among the female celebrities participating, one is said to have an extraordinary background. I heard that a major corporation is backing her. I bet it's Deng Li. It certainly isn't that pretty fool, Yiliunian. I concealed myself by the ship's rail, leisurely scrolling through the comments. Suddenly, a voice broke my reverie. I didn't expect to see you here. Miss Yi Chi. 5. Having already heard the footsteps behind me, I was unfazed and replied coolly, Old Master Wang, I trust you are well. Wang was a true patriot and businessman, known for his philanthropic contributions to the nation over the decades, never hesitating to give. His motto was, a strong populace leads to a prosperous nation, and a prosperous nation enriches commerce. As his business flourished across various sectors, he gradually became a pivotal figure in the commercial realm. However, he had inadvertently offended foreign capitalists, who hired dozens of the world's finest assassins to issue a kill order against him. At that time, I had been tasked with his protection. Within a mere fortnight, I had eliminated all the assassins and preserved his life. He was also the only person in the entertainment industry who knew my true identity post-retirement. Before we could exchange pleasantries, we were interrupted by a sudden surge of people. Deng Li was surrounded by admirers, with reporters, program staff, bodyguards, and some invited fans in tow. As the reporters approached Deng Li, they questioned, in response to the rumors online regarding your extraordinary background, what do you have to say? Is it true, as speculated, that your true identity holds considerable weight? Without a hint of hesitation, Deng Li replied, such matters require discretion. They should not be brought to light. Amidst the astonishment of the crowd, I couldn't help but chuckle. Deng Li was indeed clever. She neither clarified nor opposed, yet cultivated an impression of, yes, that is indeed me. I even suspected that these online discussions might have been orchestrated by her. After all, no one had the means to uncover my identity. Perhaps my laughter had been too loud, as Deng Li shot a glare in my direction, only to unexpectedly notice old Master Wang beside me. She elegantly glided over, bringing the camera's focus along with her. Yi Liunian, how hypocritical of you. You originally turned down the program's invitation, yet upon hearing that General Shin would attend, you forced your way back in. And now, you're trying to cozy up to old Master Wang. As stars, we must uphold a minimal standard. My goodness. In just a few sentences, she had heaped 2 accusations upon me. As she desired, the comments flooded in. I didn't expect Yi Liunian to be such a person. She has always been a pretty fool, but who knew she was so cunning? After disparaging me, Deng Li feigned affection towards old Master Wang. Old Master Wang, I've long admired your reputation. I've always wanted to pay you a visit, but never had the chance. What a pity. Old Master Wang's status was unmatched in the business world. Deng Li's scheme was astute. A few words with old Master Wang would surely elevate her standing. However, old Master Wang merely cast a cold glance at Deng Li's outstretched hand, declining to shake it publicly, and coldly remarked, there is no regret. Even if you wish to visit, I would not entertain you. Even the president of your group must schedule an appointment 3 months in advance to meet me, let alone a minor character like you. Deng Li's complexion turned ashen, and the atmosphere became palpably awkward. In the ensuing silence, old Master Wang politely gestured to me. May I have the honor of inviting Teacher Yi for a cup of tea? I raised an eyebrow and nodded, following old Master Wang to the dining area, leaving the crowd in stunned silence. The comments were now even more frenzied than before. Can someone explain what just happened? Why is old Master Wang treating that pretty fool, Yi Liunian, with such deference? The most embarrassing one seems to be Deng Li, publicly humiliated. Ha ha ha. I can't stop laughing at old Master Wang's reaction. 6. Soon, it was time for the banquet, which would also signal the official start of the live stream, with everyone in attendance. As I anxiously donned my evening gown, I harbored a flicker of hope that Shin Shi was indeed Shin Ten, though reason reminded me that such a possibility was unlikely. Moreover, if Shin Shi truly survived, how does one explain the explosion of that fateful year? Suddenly, a knock resounded at my door. With a hint of caution, I inquired, who is it? The familiar voice of Deng Li responded, it's me. Have you finished getting ready? Let's head to the banquet hall together. I was taken aback. When did my relationship with Deng Li become so amicable? I was oblivious to this development. However, I dismissed my thoughts, gathered my belongings, and accompanied her to the banquet hall. As we made our way, Deng Li affectionately linked her arm with mine. And even upon entering the banquet hall, she did not release her grip. We settled into adjacent seats, awaiting the commencement of the event. The cameras were omnipresent, tirelessly broadcasting the scene. At that moment, I felt Deng Li's hand caressing my back. Was she attempting to violate my personal space? I swiftly grasped her hand and, upon closer inspection, discovered she was wielding an ordinary eyebrow trimmer. A twitch of my lips betrayed my realization. Deng Li was up to her usual antics, likely intending to mar my gown to humiliate me publicly. Before I could voice my concerns, the lights abruptly dimmed, signaling the start of the banquet. In that instant, a sense of foreboding enveloped me. Having faced life and death numerous times, I understood that in critical moments, one's intuition serves as the most reliable guide, truly a divine opportunity for survival. As I remained vigilant, scanning my surroundings, a piercing scream shattered the air. Suddenly, all exits were sealed, and a cadre of heavily armed mercenaries materialized in the banquet hall. Gunfire erupted, sending screams echoing throughout the room, and chaos ensued. The mercenary leader ascended the stage, commanding, "Silence, all of you. This cruise ship is under my authority." My mind raced. From where had these individuals boarded? Was there an insider among us? If they had managed to board, it was highly probable that the vessel had already ventured into international waters. The mercenary leader grinned sinisterly. "Is this a live broadcast? I wonder how many people would be interested in viewing a massacre at sea? Aren't you celebrities quite full of yourselves? From this moment on, one life will cost $1 billion. Those who can afford it may live. Otherwise, I'll execute one every half hour and toss them to the fish." The barrage of comments exploded in a frenzy. What is happening? Mercenaries? Is this for real? Call the police. We must be in international waters. It takes time to get there, especially with so many hostages. Deng Li was the first to break down, tears and snot smearing her face. I'll pay. Please don't kill me." Her assistant whispered urgently, "Sister Deng, how do we have that kind of money? We could scrape together 50 million at most." The mercenary leader overheard their exchange, his expression darkening. "So, you think you can toy with us? Then let's start with you." He lunged for Deng Li, who was nearly paralyzed with fear, instinctively thrusting her only weapon, the eyebrow trimmer, toward him in a desperate attempt at self-defense. He scoffed derisively. "Is that all you've got? Are you joking? If you can harm me with that, I'll bestow upon you the title of Sea Overlord." I couldn't suppress a laugh. The mercenary squinted at me. "What are you laughing at?" I reclined casually, one leg crossed over the other, swirling my champagne glass. "A turtle doesn't reside in the sea, does it? What brings you here?" His face flushed with indignation, and here comes someone eager to meet their demise. "Fine. I'll start with you." Instantly, the dark muzzle of a gun was aimed at my forehead, and the crowd erupted in screams. Unfazed, I stood, adjusted my black silk gown, and approached Deng Li. Extending my hand politely, "May I borrow that eyebrow trimmer?" Deng Li, still in shock, instinctively handed it over. The mercenary leader continued to sneer. "You take pride in your appearance, don't you? You truly are a beauty. If you entertain me and my men, perhaps I'll grant you a few extra days of life." I shook my head. Villains perish from excessive talk. No sooner had I spoken than I struck with lightning speed. The eyebrow trimmer sliced through the mercenary leader's neck, blood spraying forth. In disbelief, he clutched his throat, fingers trembling as he pointed at me. But alas, he could utter no more words. Before a single drop of blood could touch the ground, he collapsed, toppling a table in the process. The remaining mercenaries quickly regained their composure, raising their weapons towards me. I took cover behind the overturned table, assessing the positions of my adversaries and the remaining ammunition. As they emptied their clips, I seized the opportunity to stealthily maneuver behind them, capturing one by the throat as a shield, pushing forward. A few mercenaries attempted to surround me, but with a leap, I dispatched the two closest to me. The final two, one on each side, aimed to shoot, yet I soared into the air, narrowly evading their bullets as they struck down their own comrades. At that moment, the remaining mercenaries panicked, seizing Deng Li. "Drop your weapon, or I'll kill her." I waved the bloodied eyebrow trimmer, raising an eyebrow and laughing. "First of all, you consider this an actual weapon? What kind of mercenaries are you? Just a bunch of chives, one crop less competent than the last. Moreover, you've captured my rival. I utterly despise her. In a state of disarray, the mercenary hastily shoved Deng Li to the ground, seeking another hostage. Unbeknownst to him, I had been anticipating this moment. The eyebrow trimmer was hurled, severing an artery before continuing its flight, and I swiftly shifted, catching it at the other end before kneeling gracefully on one knee. However, the remaining enemies had now encircled me. All escape routes were blocked, and a sharp dagger lunged toward me. After dispatching the adversary before me, I swiftly sidestepped, the blade barely grazing my gown. I grasped the opponent's throat with one hand, exerting force, and they fell lifelessly. At that moment, the final trio of mercenaries pointed at the tattoo revealed by my torn gown. She is Yi Chi, the Yi Chi of the Sharp Knife Organization. We can't defeat her.
Run.
My brow furrowed. During missions, no one revealed their identity, yet my seven-leaf tattoo had once inspired terror. Who would have thought it would be my undoing now? I leaped to block their escape, and before I could utter a word, commotion erupted outside. The water police had arrived. The room full of celebrities wore a unified expression of shock and disbelief. Even the police, when questioned, appeared dazed and slow to react. A young officer surveyed the scene, frowning as he inquired, "Who killed these individuals?" One star, wide-eyed, pointed at me. "The beautiful woman, the esteemed teacher Yi, the heroic Yi, did this." The young officer stepped over the bodies strewn across the floor, approaching me. "Please hand over the weapon. We need it as evidence." Nonchalantly, I tossed the eyebrow trimmer into the evidence bag, leaving the officer bewildered. "What is this?" I replied with confidence, "A weapon." The officer wore an expression of disbelief, about to speak further when a voice interjected, "She's not joking. That is indeed her weapon. Don't be fooled. If she desires, even a mere rope or a twig could serve as an instrument of destruction." I turned my gaze towards the speaker, seemingly the leader of the group. With a puzzled tilt of my head, I contemplated, "I don't believe we've met before?" The other party, visibly excited, respectfully stated, "During the operation to assist Africa, I had the honor of fighting alongside you." I fell into a prolonged silence, realizing that someone still remembered me. The individual appeared quite exhilarated. "I never imagined I would encounter you here. You have always been our idol." At that moment, a police officer approached, interrupting our conversation. "Captain, we have encountered a slight issue. It appears this is a live broadcast from a cruise ship, and everything that just transpired has been streamed live.
Now.
The entire internet is abuzz about Teacher Yi." I covered my face in dismay. What a blunder. My lips twitched as I glanced at the barrage of comments on my phone. This is unscientific. Yi Liunian can fly. Isn't she just a pretty face? Could it be that she is the one with an extraordinary background? Deng Li is a mere flower compared to her. Why support some little flower? The Dominator is far more appealing. Teacher Yi, won't you offer an explanation? Just then, a reporter scrambled over to me, his face alight with excitement. Teacher Yi, what do you have to say to the enthusiastic netizens? I wished I could vanish on the spot. Nevertheless, maintaining my professional demeanor was paramount, given my already limited fanbase. I adjusted my expression into a standard professional smile and addressed the camera innocently yet assertively. Dear ones, please don't panic, we are all Chinese here. Isn't it quite normal to have some skills? Remember to follow me on Weibo. Love you all. With that, I hastily gestured for Sun Shang to cut the live broadcast. Disregarding the already spiraling out-of-control comments, explained, but not entirely clarified. Very perfunctory indeed. I don't care, I'm still a fan. Sister is so cool. I love her. Until the scene was cleared, the heat on Weibo only intensified, even capturing the top 10 trending topics. The 11th was titled Deng Li's Web of Lies, Falsified Background. Fans declare they are unfollowing. Yet, I had no time to dwell on these matters. I was solely preoccupied with discovering the whereabouts of the elusive Mr. Shin, who was rumored to be present. Sun Shang inquired on my behalf, learning that Mr. Shin had claimed a last-minute engagement and did not board the ship. I was simultaneously furious and amused. Splendid. So, what was I doing here? Was I merely here for physical training, partaking in a nationwide fitness campaign? Seeing my face darkened with rage, Sun Shang quickly concocted an excuse to escape, leaving me to stand alone against the sea breeze. In that tranquil moment, I felt as if I had returned to a bygone era. Those days filled with peril, yet unparalleled joy. Back then, I was known as Yi Chi, The Sharp Blade is recognized worldwide as the most enigmatic organization. With a history spanning a century, the organization operates with a secretive style, motivated neither by wealth nor power, nor does it heed the commands of any nation. Yet, it often single-handedly challenges numerous injustices across the globe. Though it has made many enemies, it has never been eradicated. We existed in the gray area between right and wrong, upholding our principles and guarding our sense of justice. Shen Shi joined the Sharp Blade after me, but he relished mingling with us. In truth, he was nothing like us, resembling more of a jaded young master. When my superior assigned me to mentor him, I was rather reluctant and often treated him with disdain. Yet he remained unfazed, perpetually saying, "Yi Qi, come on, smile. Why the long face? Yi Qi, let us retire together in a city someday? Yi Qi, don't be so reckless on missions. Take care of your own life." I found his incessant chatter irritating and curtly replied, "Missions are like this. Those who hesitate perish first. If you're afraid of dying, don't choose this line of work." Yet, the one most terrified of death met his end before my very eyes. It was merely an ordinary mission. No one anticipated that someone would not return. But unexpectedly, the enemy's feigned attack had a more sinister purpose, to claim my life. At a critical moment, Shen Shi valiantly held the iron door, shoving me out. "Go. Those who hesitate perish first. If I hesitate, I perish." I barely had time to utter a word before the explosion occurred. The force of the blast rendered me unconscious. When I awoke 10 days later, my superior informed me that Shen Shi was gone, reduced to nothing but ashes. Following that, I retired. My life seemed to have concluded at that moment, leaving only the relentless ache of longing. The cruise ship's live broadcast was abruptly terminated. On the day of our return, I stood at the ship's bow, disinterestedly chatting with the elderly Wang. To my astonishment, as the cruise ship approached the harbor, I was met with a cacophony of screams. "Ah, it's Yi Liunian. Look, darling." Deng Li had recovered somewhat over these past few days, although she still avoided me, fearful that I might retaliate should she provoke me. Yet, she clearly believed she could salvage her stardom, adorned in heavy makeup, standing at the bow and waving amiably to the crowd. However, the crowd roared, "Step aside. Don't block my view of Ye's husband." Exactly. It's utterly revolting. If you can act, then act more. Deng Li's face flushed crimson as she glared at me in resentment. I shrugged innocently. What business is it of mine? At that moment, the elderly Wang squinted towards the shore. "Hey, where's my son? He promised to pick me up. Comrade Yi, don't leave right away. I want to introduce you. Don't be fooled by my son's receding hairline. He is a brilliant scientist." After a moment, I could no longer contain myself. "Is he your biological son?" Just then, an unexpected turn of events occurred. All the electronic billboards surrounding the port simultaneously ceased their advertisements, switching to a video. In the video, a masked foreign man stood before the screen. Behind him, a Chinese man was bound to a chair. Before I could fully comprehend the scene, the elderly Wang suddenly pointed at the screen, agitated. "That's my son. Why are you taking my son?" Seeing the elderly Wang's face drain of color and his composure falter, I quickly steadied him. "Old sir, please remain calm. Collect yourself. Let us observe how this unfolds." At that moment, the man in the video began to speak. "Esteemed viewers, Luke sends his regards. And Yi Qi. Who would have thought the explosion back then would spare your life, thwarting my plans today? Without further ado, your finest scientist is currently in my grasp. I grant you 48 hours to save his life. After 48 hours, he will meet a watery grave." With that, the video abruptly ended. A heavy silence enveloped the scene. Moments later, the crowd erupted in a frenzy, buzzing with speculation. Yet, none of that mattered to me. I immediately spotted a familiar vehicle at the port. As soon as the cruise ship docked, a team of bodyguards boarded, escorting me and the elderly Wang off first, blocking the fervent media and swiftly ushering us into the vehicle. The car drove straight into a covert operations room where my superior awaited us. There was no time for pleasantries or idle chatter. My superior succinctly laid out the situation. It turned out that through their investigations, Luke was revealed to be the leader of an organization covertly orchestrated by Country X, having long been in opposition to us both overtly and covertly. The explosion from years ago was also their doing. However, my superior had fabricated my death certificate back then, which afforded me 3 years of peace. This time, their target was Wang Jian, the elderly Wang's son. I furrowed my brow and inquired, why target Wang Jian? My superior remained silent for a long while before finally speaking. Half a month ago, scientist Wang Jian made significant breakthroughs in the control devices of nuclear reactors. If we could continue our research, it would undoubtedly create a sensation worldwide. I understood clearly. The controllable nuclear reactor has always been a formidable challenge for countries around the globe. Wang Jian is truly remarkable. My superior, with a hint of concern, remarked, Wang Jian has been missing for several days now. We have been conducting a discreet investigation and have just pinpointed their location. I suspect that during these past few days, they have undoubtedly attempted to coerce Wang Jian into speaking, but to no avail. Desperate, they incited a group of mindless mercenaries to assault the cruise ship. Their intention was to create chaos, abduct the elderly Wang, and thereby force Wang Jian's compliance. Little did they expect that fate would intervene and you would thwart their plans. As we spoke, the internet buzzed with news about the incident. Luke's actions were not merely a declaration of war, they bore a distinct provocative tone. My superior reported the situation upwards and soon received a response. Simultaneously, a spokesperson publicly expressed the official stance, echoing the directive received by my superior. If there is to be war, let it be. What do we lack in courage and resolve? Before setting off for the rescue, I inquired of my superior, who located the enemy's position. Have them come over for a discussion. My superior suddenly appeared somewhat embarrassed, rubbing his nose. Ahem. I was puzzled. Ahem who? Just as I finished speaking, footsteps approached from behind and halted near me.
Yeji.
I froze, uncertain if I was dreaming. After a long pause, I turned around. The face I had longed for appeared before me, marked by an unhealable scar on his brow. Yet his eyes remained unchanged, exuding a mischievous defiance, now tinged with a hint of vulnerability. Shunsher studied my expression and, seeing no anger, secretly exhaled in relief, reaching out to grasp my hand. I offered him a faint smile, and then, bang.
Hey.
Yi-Chi, why did you hit me? You've got panda eyes. My superior attempted to intervene. Yi-Chi, please don't be angry. There is a reason. I shot a fierce glance his way, prompting him to hastily amend his statement. No reason is acceptable. You must be punished. This is utterly unacceptable. Subsequently, through Shunsher's woeful recounting, I learned the truth. Following the explosion years ago, Shunsher had not died on the spot. Instead, he fell into a coma, reduced to a vegetative state with the constant risk of death. My superior, fearing to offer me false hope only to plunge me into despair, had kept this information concealed. He had also arranged for my retirement in order to protect me. A year and a half later, during my first film performance, the comatose Shunsher miraculously awakened upon hearing my voice on television. It took another year for him to regain normal mobility. What about the remaining 6 months? Why didn't you contact me? Shunsher mumbled something under his breath, quieter than a mosquito's buzz. My superior could no longer hold back. He said he needed 6 months to regain his charming, dashing appearance, becoming a beloved figure and a walking embodiment of charisma. I could surmise the events that followed. My superior had arranged for Shunsher's identity, planning for a grand, joyful reunion aboard the cruise ship, only to have the plan thwarted when my superior summoned him at the last moment. Soon, we set off for the rescue. At a time when the entire internet was ablaze with activity, there was no heated discussion or mockery, only a simple phrase, await the hero's return. Luke's group concealed themselves on an island in international waters, heavily fortified and vigilant. My superior stated solemnly, this operation must be swift. Avoid direct confrontation with the enemy. Rescue the hostage and retreat quickly. Shunsher and I led the team, accompanied by 10 elite members as we approached the island. We submerged near the island, and I quietly informed the technicians over the earpiece, we are about to enter the infrared monitoring zone. The technicians had already infiltrated the enemy's network, temporarily disabling the infrared systems. We successfully landed on the island. Shunsher gestured, indicating that the hostage was being held in the laboratory at the center. I shook my head, pointing to the seemingly formidable yet ultimately flimsy guards outside the lab. Given Luke's cunning, the hostage must frequently be moved. I signaled for everyone to search separately. Before long, I noticed something unusual about a warehouse. I frowned. Does a typical warehouse require this many guards? I relayed my discovery to the team. Soon, they converged on my location. At that moment, several guards began conversing in a strange language. I was perplexed. What gibberish is this? Shinshir leaned in and whispered, "It's Portuguese. They said the hostage will be moved in an hour." I looked at him in surprise. He understands this? Shinshir raised his eyebrows, a hint of pride in his demeanor. A plan quickly formed in my mind. Before long, the hour for the transfer approached. A heavily armed group escorted Wang Jian out, extremely vigilant. Shinshir and I stealthily followed, arriving at the new holding location. As Wang Jian was ushered into a room, I immediately signaled to the others. Action. Instantly, our team members launched a feigned attack near the original holding area. My orders were clear: feign an attack to divert their attention, and then retreat. As expected, most of the enemies were drawn away, providing Shinshir and me the opportunity to infiltrate the room. Despite the numerous guards, Shinshir and I fought side by side, striking without mercy, swiftly neutralizing the threats. We burst into the room, pulling away the blindfold obscuring Wang Jian's face. A glaring Mediterranean bald head was revealed before us. Shinshir inquired, "Can you confirm this is Wang Jian?" I suppressed the impulse to ruffle that bald head, nodding at Shinshir. It would be hard to forge such a head. Just as we were about to escort Wang Jian out, the door thunderously slammed shut, and alarms blared. Wang Jian soon regained his composure, stating, "Luke has set the system. If anyone re-enters the room, it triggers an alert. They are likely on their way here." Shinshir remarked, "This is not good. They know we've entered, and they may deploy heavy weaponry. It will be difficult to break through. Yi Qi, when the time comes, I will cover you. You take him and leave." I scanned our surroundings, raising my hand to signal him to be silent. Wang Jian, filled with fervor, declared, "I cannot allow myself to survive alone. I must write down my research now. Please take it with you." He began scribbling furiously with pen and paper. Shinshir continued to chatter. "Yi Qi, you must survive. I never told you, but I like you. I only want you to live." I felt a mix of emotions, touched yet somewhat exasperated, as I observed the two of them, one engrossed in writing, the other professing his feelings. It was rather amusing, albeit somewhat chaotic. I patted both of them and pointed towards the ceiling. They stared, dumbfounded, at a concealed vent. After a moment, they exclaimed in unison, "Damn. Who would want to die if they could survive?" I led the charge, with Wang Jian in the center and Shinshir bringing up the rear. We swiftly entered the ventilation duct, crawling towards freedom at full speed. Meanwhile, the other team members relayed the news that they had escaped. I let out a sigh of relief. As long as I could get Wang Jian and Shinshir out, our mission would be deemed a resounding success. Before long, I spotted a faint light at the end of the tunnel. Victory was in sight. We emerged from the vent one by one, the endpoint conveniently located by the sea. Alongside Shinshir, swiftly eliminated the patrolling guards and hurriedly led Wang Jian to the precipice, intent on leaping into the sea. At that moment, a chilling voice echoed, "You are more astute than I had anticipated. Should you consider surrendering, I may spare your lives." We turned towards a voice, where Luke stood, gun raised, flanked by a multitude of mercenaries. I scoffed, "Surrender? You are nothing more than a rat in the gutter. Do not delude yourself into thinking you can turn the tide." Meanwhile, I gestured to the two behind me, urging them to jump without delay. Luke chuckled darkly, then perish. In an instant, Shinshir hurled a grenade, prompting the enemy to seek cover. Seizing the opportunity, Wang Jian was the first to plunge into the sea. The thunderous explosion reverberated, deafening us. I grasped Shinshir's hand, racing towards the edge of the cliff. Unexpectedly, Luke broke through the chaos of the blast, charging towards us, his gun aimed directly at me as he pulled the trigger. To my astonishment, Shinshir lunged forward, tackling him. The bullet veered off course. Both Shinshir and Luke plummeted into the ocean. Before I could follow, the explosion erupted violently. Flames surged from below the cliff, illuminating the sky in a crimson glow. My heart raced in despair. No! It was Shinshir who detonated the grenade, seeking to take Luke down with him. Without hesitation, I leapt after him. This time, I could not allow him to face this alone. 19. When I regained consciousness, I found myself in a hospital bed. Wang Jian and the elder Wang were elated. Doctor. She has awakened. Ignoring the 4 drip in my arm, I bolted upright. Where is Shi? The elder Wang and Wang Jian exchanged a glance, their expressions tinged with unease. A wave of dread washed over me. I disregarded everything and attempted to leap from the bed. Just then, a familiar figure approached, leaning on a cane, Yi Qi. He was so upset. He scolded me all day. Upon closer inspection, it was indeed Shi. Aside from a limp, some scars, and a fracture, he appeared to be in good spirits. The voice of my superior rang out. Who else should I scold if not you? What a disgrace. How do you propose we write this report? It turned out that at the moment of detonation, Shi had carelessly stuffed the grenade into Luke's trousers. He then clung to the sheer cliff edge, hanging precariously. Shi, with a cheeky grin, waved at Luke, signaling a mock farewell. Thus, although the grenade exploded, Shi was only slightly affected. As for why he was so severely injured, ahem, I was just about to climb up to find you. Then I saw you plummet past me, and I couldn't hold you back. I feared you would crash onto the rocks, which is why I jumped down with you. It was indeed a rather comical mix-up. However, Yi Qi, are you crying? Shi inquired cautiously. I threw myself into his embrace, wiping away my tears and casually using his hospital gown to blow my nose. Shi stood there, stiff as a board, exuding an aura of pure bliss. The onlookers swiftly shook their heads and fled the room, closing the door behind them. 20. Luke's demise sent shockwaves throughout the world. My superior racked his brain to draft a dignified report that was less embarrassing. Equally momentous was Wang Jian's research, though still incomplete. It was enough to place us at the forefront of global advancements. On the day of our return home, the airport was teeming with well-wishers who had come to greet us. Flowers and applause filled the air in tribute. Amidst the crowd, I caught a glimpse of a familiar figure. I nodded slightly. Deng Li, somewhat bashful, pressed her lips together and bowed deeply to me. Together, we bowed profoundly to the assembled crowd, a silent exchange laden with meaning. Despite the injustices, the dangers, and the uncertainty of our fates, we chose to protect the world. This time, and every time, no one knew that Shi whispered softly in my ear, "You protect the world, and I will protect you. Is that all right?" The end. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe and give a thumbs up to support. Until we meet again in the next story.